let's talk about the major sports in America, right? And you have, football, let's say football and basketball. With football and basketball, a coach can call a play, and the kids are going to go run that play, right?
Right.
In soccer, we don't have what you would consider set plays. Right now, we have structure of how we play, and tendencies that we want our kids to look for, right? But at the end of it, it's a player's game, and the players are making the decisions on the field. We're not telling them where to run. At that moment, they're making the decision on where to run, or who to play the ball to, or when to dribble, when to pass, when to shoot.
Yes, my guest today is Jason Meekins, the head boys soccer coach at Katy Jordan. I will introduce you to him right after these messages.
Joe Martin, Executive Director of Texas High School Coaches Association, and I'm inviting you to join us at this year's Texas Coaches Leadership Summit on February 26th in Arlington at East Sports Stadium. You won't want to miss our outstanding lineup of speakers. We know this is the time of year that coaches and teachers sometimes get weary, and the Leadership Summit is a great way for coaches to be revived in their mission and reminded of their incredible impact that they have on their athletes and their community. As the signature event of our Texas High School Coaches Education Foundation, the message of the summit focuses on coaching beyond the game and into the lives of our student athletes. Don't miss our 2024 Coaching Beyond the Game winner, Coach Jack Alvarez, talk about coaching for a greater cause, and McKinney High girls basketball coach Debbie Harris giving you a plan for building a successful program. Visit our website at thsca.com to purchase your tickets. And as always, thank you for all you do for kids.
Have you ever thought about doing your own podcast? It is the absolute best way to grow your brand, spread your message, and build your following. Fresh Media Works can help. We do all the heavy lifting, and you just focus on your message. To find out how easy we can make launching your new podcast, call 713-269-4620 or check us out at freshmediaworks.com. All right, everybody join me in welcoming Coach Jason Meekins to the show. Coach, how are you doing?
We're doing good this morning. Yes, sir.
I love it. Well, thank you for taking the time to be on the coach's call. And while I do want to get into soccer, I want to back up. Where did you grow up and get into sports?
So I grew up in Burnham, Texas, about halfway between Houston and Austin. Home of Bluebell, and sports when I was growing up, was a big part of my family's life. I have an older brother and a younger sister, and we all played everything growing up, man. And it was soccer, then we moved to basketball, then we moved to baseball, and get back into soccer growing up in the elementary schools, and then as we got into the junior highs, that's when football really kicked in. We didn't have a youth football program back when I was growing up, so we looked forward to 7th grade because that was the first time we got to really play football and tackle football, and put pads on. So played everything throughout junior highs, from football to basketball and then in the springtime, we did track, and I played club soccer in the Houston area, in the evenings and then on the weekends. So that's kind of my soccer background, and then in high school, you start to have to limit some of your sports. So I did football and soccer in high school, and played soccer year round with my club team in Houston.
Nice, and you had some pretty good teams there in football and soccer, right?
Yeah, so in soccer throughout all 4 years we were very good. And at that time there was only my freshman year there was only one classification for soccer, right? So there was only at that time 5A where we had to play against the big schools in Houston, and so it was really challenging for us being a relatively small town, then having to go up against all the big time Houston schools when we made it to the playoffs. But it was fun. Then my sophomore year is when they divided into 5A and 4A. So it was we got a little bit more success going through there. But I played in a state championship. I think it's still probably the longest game in the history of UIL high school soccer. We went to a 13-round shootout in the state final against South Lake Carroll in 2001. So, and I missed twice, so that was fun. That's back when it was the run-ups, and it was the 5-second, 35-yard shootout. So my claim to fame is I'm one of the 3 guys that missed twice. So,
and you during high school, Coach Glenn West was there, right?
Yeah, so he got there my at the end of my freshman year, and I played quarterback for the freshman team that year. And when he got there, he told, he talked to the coaching staff that was there before him, and specifically Coach Newman, Jerry Newman he was the head back coach at the time, and he was my freshman kind of offensive coordinator. And Coach Newman really put in a good word for me, a kind of quarterback in person that I was. And Coach West told me that I would have the opportunity, right, to compete for quarterback, right? And so as a sophomore, I played for Coach West all 3 years, and then as quarterback, and then had some injury things happen, and couldn't continue to play quarterback my senior year. So I served in a different role as kind of a coach, and I was a holder for the PAT, getting on and off the field. I had a broken leg at the time, so but I still found a way to help the team. But yeah, Coach West was, really turned Burnham into where you see it today, and the past success over the last 20 to 25 years. From I guess he got there in 1998, and really, I mean, obviously his record speaks for himself. He's a good coach, but he's also a great person.
I love that. And then, did you already know in high school that you wanted to be a coach, or when did you pick that up?
No, so I knew, like, Coach West always talked to me about it, right? He wanted me to, he told me anytime I wanted to come back and work for him, I was more than welcome to come back and work for him. And I didn't think that was going to be what my career would end up being. It was where I went to Texas A&M after high school, and I coached club with at the time my high school coach, my high school soccer coach Eric Lane. He started a club in Burnham, a new soccer club, and so I helped him out and trained teams for 4 years while I was in high school, or while I was in college. I coached the high school group. Some of the guys that I actually got to play with, I was now coaching, and that was fun. And so that kind of got me my feet wet in soccer coaching and learning and being able to, run a practice and not have the same, pressure on me as we do now, as a high school coach. And it's a much bigger program than what I had then. But I graduated from Texas A&M in 2005, and I was actually I got into the consulting world, and I was a tax accountant or tax consultant in the Dallas area for 4 years. And, did it for 4 years, and I was at the point where I was either going to have to I was going to get promoted to kind of a managerial position, and I was going to be in that line of work for a while, right? And that was going to be my career, or I needed to make a change. And I knew, I did not think that was something that I wanted to do for the foreseeable future. So I came back to Burnham and I actually moved back in with my parents and started talking to Coach West and going up to football practices with him and watching them practice. And I kind of just got that itch to get into coaching. And so that next year in 2010, I started coaching football and soccer in Burnham.
Nice, and that was a great time to be associated with football in Burnham, right?
Yeah, I mean, we, I guess in 2000, I wasn't there in 2009. I was in the stands for when they played Alito at Memorial Stadium in Austin.
Right.
And then I came in that next year, and it was just tons of success. The program was rolling, great athletes, coaching staff had been together for a while, so it was really I guess just everything was so fluid, and everybody knew what everybody, what each other were thinking, and it was a ton of fun to be around, right? And it's not like that everywhere. I've been to 3 other places now, and it's that was a fun time. Everybody really got along, and as a coaching staff, and it was fun to be a part of.
Nice. And so, as an assistant coach there, what were you coaching?
I started off in the junior high, so I had my own junior high team for 2 years. I coached an eighth grade team there, and for 2 years, and I was the assistant varsity JV coach for soccer. So I would spend my first semester I was a coach at the junior high. Second semester I was a coach at the high school, and then after 2 years I got the opportunity to become the linebackers coach at the high school level, and then still be the assistant varsity JV soccer coach in the spring. And so I moved up there. I did that for 2 years, and then came to Houston, came to the Katy area after that.
Nice. So I guess take me stop by stop, position-wise and school. After leaving Brenham, going to Houston, tell me what positions you coached and what you did.
Yeah, so I spent my 4 years in Brenham. Then I went to Katy Tompkins. It was a new school at the time. I got there in the second year. So it had just opened. We had freshmen, sophomores, and juniors going into 19-6A with, the Katys, the Seven Lakes, and it was challenging. And I was at the time I was the assistant offensive line tight ends coach, and then also the varsity soccer assistant for Coach Jones there at Tompkins. And after my first year, I got kind of a promotion to the passing game coordinator. So I did that for 2 years. And then, again, I was at that point where we had a new coaching staff, new football coach coming in. Coach McVay was coming in. So I had another decision for me. I had the opportunity to pursue some head coaching jobs in soccer or stay with Coach McVay and still do 2 sports and work with Coach McVay and Coach Jones. So I decided to see what was out there and see, if somebody thought I was, who they thought fit their soccer program. So I interviewed down with Coach Sniffen, who's now at Belton. I interviewed with him at Ridgepoint. Ridgepoint had some success when it had first opened, and then, they made the jump to 6A as well, and they didn't have the same success there. So Coach Sniffen, the previous coach, was making a career change and going back to school. So they had the opening, and I went down and interviewed, and a couple of days after my interview, they called me. Coach Sniffen and Mr. Brogan down at Ridgepoint called me, and they offered me the job. So I accepted and spent 3 years at Ridgepoint as the head boys soccer coach. We won 2 district championships, made the playoffs all 3 years. But I knew, my family, my wife teaches in Katy ISD as well. She's actually now here with me. I got her to move here with me. And so I knew I wanted to get back to Katy ISD eventually. And we both knew, my wife and I both knew that Jordan was going to be built and open. And, one of my goals was to get back into Katy ISD as a head boys soccer coach. And luckily, Coach Robbie here at Jordan and Dr. Kroll, our principal, hired me as their guy.
Nice. And you seem to have a trend of going to new schools. One, do you like that? And two, what are the challenges with a new school?
I think the challenges that we see, obviously, with Ridgepoint, it was developing a culture of hard work, right, and just the discipline side of it. They really had never, to my knowledge and from what people had told me as I got the job, was they had talent. They had some success, making it to the regional semifinals a couple times. But the discipline side of it, and then just the culture of Ridgepoint soccer being something. And it's the same thing here at Jordan. You get kids that come from every different school, right? We got kids from Tompkins and Seven Lakes when we opened here at Jordan. And, developing our own culture, developing how things were going to be for our program, and kind of fighting some of those things that, obviously players bring from their other schools. I think, one thing that helped us, our kids saw that we had, kind of instant success here at Jordan. So it was kind of easier, I think, for me because of the success we had and, that belief that was brought, from that winning and from that success.
Well, and talk about that instant success because, I've seen that at several schools where it's a brand new school and boom, suddenly they're in the state finals, the state championships. But other schools, it just kind of drags. So talk about how that develops.
Well, obviously we have to have good players, and we do. That helps. And we did not. It's kind of an unknown, right? Because your kids don't really know any better, right? So they're just playing. As coaches, we're just trying to win the next game, especially when you get into the playoffs. You just take it one at a time, and you're preparing for that team you're playing. And our kids were young, and they were excited, and they just kept winning. To be honest, to keep it simple, it was really that, right? We kept getting better throughout the season and competing, and everything just started clicking along. And it wasn't anything special that we did. I don't think. I think our kids were young, and they didn't know any better, and they were just playing soccer. They were just doing what they love to do.
Nice. Even when you go back to Brenham, having to play up levels again, then in Jordan, you go to state semifinals with 0 seniors. Is that part of the, hey guys, we got a big challenge ahead of us in motivation for them, or how do you explain that?
Yeah, I think our kids are confident. They play. Some of our kids play pretty high level club here in the Katy and Houston area, so they're confident soccer players. And then also, I think it's kind of what we instilled into them that first year. We took them to a varsity tournament, and we had success as freshmen and sophomores at a varsity tournament. So they kind of got to see that. And then that first year, we played in the district with the 19-6A JV teams. And if you come watch a JV game in Katy ISD, you would think a lot of the times you're watching a varsity game, and because the level is really high in our JV levels as well. So they were challenged there. We finished, I think, 4th or tied for 4th in the district at the JV level that year, which I felt was a success because of just the teams and the caliber of programs that are in our area. So I think that prepared us for that next year when we went into a varsity 5A district because of the level of the JVs.
Yeah. And talk about club versus schools or UIL schools, because, gosh, it wasn't too long ago, club sports was a dirty word as it relates to public school. But it seems like that is changing. What's your experience having been heavily involved in both sides?
I played soccer 12 months a year from 7th grade to basically when I graduated high school, and it's a commitment. I think is what I tell my players. I never missed a varsity or a high school soccer game for club. I never had to really miss many club games for high school. Right? It was at that time club season really shut down from, I guess, January 1st to spring break. So we would have a little bit of training where now kids, they are playing in showcases around, and you have club players, they're playing in showcases, they might have league games or practice at night. But the commitment, is still there from the players to do both. And it can still be done. I think, at times some people think that, one's better than the other. I think you can't say that. I think they're different, right? And they offer different opportunities for kids. I mean, there's nothing like representing your community in your high school and playing in front of your friends and getting to play in a stadium of 12,000 that seats 12,000. There might not be 12,000 people there, but you know, it's a big stadium and underneath the lights. You don't get that at club where you do get that in high school. So I think it's a trade-off, right? And it's each of them have their strengths and their things that you can set it apart and your experience.
Definitely. And talk about Texas. When you hear football, you think of putting on the pads, you think of Friday Night Lights. The rest of the world, when you hear football, you think of soccer. Talk about the changes you've seen in Texas as far as the acceptance of soccer.
I think, you know, especially at the high school level, I'll speak specifically to that, you know, and I think 20 years ago, there wasn't coaches coming to coach in high school to coach soccer on a broad level. Now, at your big schools, at your top schools, yes, they had dedicated soccer coaches. But I think when soccer started in the late 80s and then early 90s, you know, we have now reached the point to where we have soccer coaches, and I know on my staff I have two assistants that we are solely dedicated to soccer. Right. You know, where 10 years ago, 15 years ago, there might have been one coach on the staff that was a soccer coach, and then we got a football coach, right? That maybe didn't have the experience, work hard, right, and do everything they need to do, but just that experience of being a soccer coach. And knowing the game. And now, I just think in Katy ISD, there's probably just about all the boys programs have 3 dedicated soccer coaches. And I think we're getting to that point where now in high school, you can be developed as a soccer player and not just play soccer.
Right. Talk about the changes you've seen with the THSCA as it relates to soccer or just other sports than football in general.
Mm-hmm. You know, I Coach West, I think when he was president, you know, THSCA was really looking to see how they can grow the organization. You know, because obviously they had every football coach in Texas wanted to come to the convention and be a part of the organization, but they kind of this is me talking, right? I think they had kind of hit a plateau, and like, how are they going to take the next step as an organization? You know, I think one thing that they talked about at the time, and what Coach West has really been on the soccer side, been talking with me about, is making it, you know, an all-sport organization. They're not just a Texas high school football coaches; it's a Texas high school coaches association. And I think they're really getting, you know, to where not just with soccer but female membership and, you know, basketball, you see so many other sessions when you go to THSCA now, and the professional development. I mean, it's outstanding at all levels, and I think it's going to continue to get better as more people continue to come and see that they can really benefit from the professional development side at THSCA. It's not just a football conference anymore. It's an all-sport convention.
Yeah, definitely. So how long have you been a member of the association?
Every year since I started in 2010. So
nice.
It was my 14th year to be a member.
And you're on the advisory committee for the region. Talk about that role and what people may not know about it.
Yeah, so during the COVID year when THSCA decided that, you know, we weren't going to be able to have an in-person live clinic, that it was going to have to be online, Coach West called me to help him and help the organization get different speakers that would be willing to present online, right? And that was challenging in of itself, right? And so I helped, you know, organize, and I was actually also one of the speakers for that convention. I think we had 12 or 14 different topics and speakers speak during the 3 days. So I've been helping do that on that side for the convention for the last 4 years. And now, you know, I think Tyler Watts and a couple of the other people in the office have taken over a lot of that organization of speakers. But now Coach West has asked me, this will be my second year on the advisory committee, and I'm the at-large boys, committee member. And I was asked by Coach West and Coach Pacheco to be on the committee. So basically, what we do is at the state tournament we'll meet and we'll meet with the UIL and the TASO sports officials and discuss any policies, issues that the UIL is bringing forward or that TASO is bringing forward that we need to get to our membership. And then we'll also start discussing, the convention and getting any speakers in line that we think would be good, and getting that information to Coach Pacheco so she can take it back to the office and start getting the convention lined out as far as the professional development. And throughout the year, we are, if there's any issues or policies that we need to bring up to Coach Pacheco or Coach West and Coach Martin, we're doing that as well. And then I guess we also the advisory committee picks I'm trying to make sure I say this right, the super teams, the super elite teams, the set teams we don't pick the teams, we pick the coaches that we want to be involved and get volunteers to help be on the set committee to make sure that we are, recognizing the players from around the state.
Excellent. And back to the game of soccer itself, what changes have you seen to the game in your career from playing to coaching, and that includes changes that might be in the presentation of the game to the audience?
Yeah, I think, first and foremost, I think we have way more kids playing soccer now. For the youth levels, there's way more opportunity now for higher level play than there was 20 years ago. We had high level play 20 years ago, in the 90s and 2000s, but now it's you see the opportunity is greater. The other thing that I think is that with more players, there's obviously better. Put a better product on the field. And I think if you watch a game from 20 to 25 years ago, it's a different style of soccer than what you might see now, even at the high school level, of just the players being more technical. And then the game has progressed to the point to where, it's an attractive style of soccer that you're watching if you go watch a game now.
And I guess what makes it more attractive now, and this is two-part. Also, the fact that now it just popped out of my head. Let's just go with that. What makes it more attractive these days?
I think the technical ability of players overall, right, is higher. So I think that as a coach, we're allowed. We have the opportunity to maybe do some things as far as keeping possession and the creativity, using our players' creativity in the attack to kind of change that perception of not perception, but like you said, the aesthetic view of the game. And what you see on TV, you might actually see, in a game, right here now and at the high school level and even at the club levels on the weekends.
Nice. And I was involved in youth sports at the YMCA of Greater Houston, and when I did that for years, thousands of fields around the city filled with soccer players and little peewees, and we used to call it magnet ball, and that's what everybody decided that's what soccer was, a bunch of kids chasing a ball. But for the uninitiated, give me a 30-second spiel of why it's not magnet ball, why there are plays, what's different.
Yeah, so I think, let's talk about the major sports in America, right? And you have, football, let's say football and basketball. With football and basketball, a coach can call a play and the kids are going to go run that play, right?
Right.
In soccer, we don't have what you would consider set plays. right? Now we have structure of how we play and, tendencies that we want our kids to look for, right? But at the end of it, it's a player's game, and the players are making the decisions on the field. We're not telling them where to run. At that moment, they're making the decision on where to run or who to play the ball to or when to dribble, when to pass, when to shoot. Where other sports, and it's nothing against other sports, it's just the way it's set up. Like the coach and the play is telling the kid what to do, right? And I think that's kind of the more and more people that watch soccer, they start to understand that, even if it's just on TV. They don't even have to play. You can start seeing movements of players on the field over and over and over again, that it is kind of their structure or the play that we are running on the field. I think video for us to identify strengths and weaknesses of teams we're playing and setting up our structure of how we want our kids to play, right, to where it's still free. It's freedom of movement, freedom of play, but, there is a structure behind what we do.
And you mentioned in the other sports you call a play and run a play. So coaches are basically chess players who are trying to find a mismatch. What is your active role in a game that is kind of that chess piece?
Yeah, so we still do the same thing where we're trying to find mismatches and strengths and weaknesses of the other team. So identifying strengths so that we can stop what they want to do, and then identify weaknesses that we can go attack, right? So we'll identify those things as a coaching staff or as a coach, and then our players will give that information so that we're creating those opportunities within the game, right, that we're going to attack the spaces that we want to attack, or we're going to attack the player that we want to attack and get the ball into those positions as many times as possible.
Got it. Coach Meekins, I want to thank you so much for sitting down, sharing some of your stories, some of your insights, and all the work you do with these kids and with the Coaches Association.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a lot of fun. There's a reason why, I got into coaching, and then now have the opportunity to help THSCA and be a part of that and get to know coaches and network, and it's a ton of fun, and I enjoy it, and I enjoy helping coaches, and then also coaching and helping kids.
The interviews in this show are brought to you by the Texas High School Coaches Association. THSCA provides to its more than 26,000 members access to the people, events, tools, and resources to help them thrive in the profession, become trusted leaders in their communities, and live balanced and successful lives. The work and sacrifice coaches do every day is vital to the development and success of student athletes. The THSCA supports these efforts. We fight for every coach, provide them with the connections and resources to improve their lives, and help all student athletes throughout the state enjoy lasting success. The mission statement is simply this: to help and serve Texas high school coaches as they work to help and serve student athletes. Helping coaches help kids. For more information on the THSCA, visit www.thsca.com. Hey, of course, I want to thank our guest, but I also want to thank you. I want to thank you for giving me what I consider the most valuable thing you can give, your time and your attention. And I know you don't do it to hear me. You hear it for the great messages provided by the THSCA. And hey, if you'd like to associate your company with the THSCA and the Coach's Call podcast, limited sponsorship opportunities are available. You can reach out to me, Chris Daly, 713-269-4620, or head over to my website, freshmediaworks.com. Once again, thank you so much for supporting Texas high school coaches. Please share this show out to everybody you can so that we can help share these important messages. Thanks again, and we'll catch you next time on The Coach's Call.